Hi, I'm Patty Ann Brown, and you are in the Strategy Room. The small town of Farmville, Virginia, played host to a very big event last night. Vice presidential candidates Democrat Tim Kaine and Republican Mike Pence facing off in the first and only vice presidential debate. Both candidates took shots at the other's presidential running mate. They spoke over each other and tried to rough up the competition. Was there a winner, and what are the takeaways? Here to weigh in are Democratic strategist Joe Listingi and Republican strategist Charmaine Yost. Welcome to both of you.
Hi, Patty.
Thanks for having us.
So Pence, who is the governor of Indiana, and Kaine, a U.S. senator from Virginia, are generally considered polite politicians. Charmaine, why did the gloves come off last night?
Well, you know, I thought it was interesting. All of the setup was saying that it was going to be boring and that these two men were not as exciting as other politicians. But I think, you know, having a solid long-term career in politics doesn't necessarily mean that you can't mix it up and have an intense debate. And that's what I loved about last night, is it was intense, it was driven, it did focus on issues, and it was a really, really good debate. Mike Pence really kept his eye on the ball of the fact that with debates, it's not always, you know, scoring the most important political point. Really what you want to come out of is with people liking you more, knowing you a little bit more as a person. And that's where Tim Kaine failed, is that by interrupting Mike Pence over 72 times, just over and over and over again, he just came across very, very badly. And so the taste that was left in people's mouth last night was that Mike Pence was a good guy that you'd want to talk to and hang out with, and that Tim Kaine was really very annoying.
You know, I'm sure Joe has something to say about that, but Kaine accused Trump of running an insult-driven campaign, and Pence responded that Trump's barbs are small potatoes compared with Clinton's calling half of Trump supporters a basket of deplorables. Joe, what do you say?
Well, there's two big differences on that issue, right? Number one, after she made that statement, she apologized. Yet Trump has not apologized for any of his phrases that degrade women, degrade minorities, and degrade Hispanics and immigrants. There's just a whole bunch of groups out there right now that have been in the firing line of Trump's words. And the best part about last night was Tim Kaine just used Donald Trump's words, and Mike Pence did not defend him. He could not, and I will say this about Mike Pence. He's a very good politician. He looked very good last night, and he understands the long-term political implications if he really, really weds himself to Donald Trump's statements. So he did what he needed to do, which was sort of deflect and pivot. But in the end, there's nothing that's changing the words that come out of Donald Trump's mouth. He has said them publicly. It is our job to hold him responsible for that, and that's exactly what Tim Kaine kept the focus on last night. We are here talking about interruptions and all that, but most of the talking today is about how Tim Kaine used Donald Trump's words against Mike Pence, and Mike Pence couldn't defend him.
Yeah, just back to the interruptions briefly, and then we are going to move on to issues. The Trump campaign manager, Kellyanne Conway, spoke this morning on Fox and Friends, and she did note, as Charmaine mentioned, Kaine interrupted 72 times, many of those not against Pence, against the moderator, Elaine Quijano, and Conway suggested that Kaine's dismissive attitude toward the female moderator undercuts the Clinton campaign's appeal to female voters. Charmaine, what do you say to that?
Absolutely. I mean, it was so shocking that he even interrupted as Mike Pence was thanking her at the end of the debate. He had to jump in even then. It was just like he couldn't sit still in his seat. And I'd have to disagree with Joe. You know, a lot of people are saying that Mike Pence refused to defend Donald Trump, but I think this whole thing last night was a win for Team Trump across the board. What Mike Pence did was he refused to rise to the bait. You know, the Clinton team keeps trying to mischaracterize and take out of context things that Donald Trump has said, and to, as Mike Pence said last night, run a really negative, aggressive campaign. So what Mike Pence was doing was putting things in context, clarifying, and advancing the ball in describing the positive vision of what a Trump-Pence ticket looks like. And so I think to characterize that as not defending Donald Trump is really not fair and a mischaracterization of what we saw last night.
All right, let's talk about the issues. Joe, on what issue do you feel Kaine was strongest in promoting his candidate, Clinton?
Well, I actually think he did a good job promoting the overall message here, which is that the campaign is looking for solutions to problems that everyday families face. They're looking for solutions in the tax code. They're looking to make the tax code more balanced so that the upper shares, like Donald Trump, who hasn't paid taxes in 18 years, I think we can all agree on that, should be paying their fair share, because if someone like Donald Trump actually paid his projected $180 million tax liability, well,
you know,
geez,
Joe,
then maybe middle-class families could get a tax break.
legally required to pay in taxes.
Let me just let Joe
No. I appreciate what Charmaine's saying here.
Okay.
He didn't pay him because he took advantage of these corporate
Right.
tax loopholes that most average families will never be able to
Well,
do.
okay.
So as long as those stay in place, then we're going to continue to have the tax burden on middle-class families, and that's what Donald Trump has been flaunting for everybody, and what
Right.
Hillary Clinton is trying to roll back. These tax loopholes got to get closed, and that's something that Tim Kaine and Hillary Clinton are pushing forward.
All right, Charmaine, what was Pence's strongest argument?
Do you know, I think one of the most dramatic moments came towards the end, and we may have lost some viewership, but it was really dramatic when they started talking about the life issue, which has not come up in other debates and hasn't really been talked about as much on the campaign trail this year. There's a very big difference between Clinton, Kaine, and Trump, Pence on the life issue, on abortion, and Mike Pence just gave a really beautiful description of his position, talking about compassion for women and advancing the ball on that issue, really drawing a direct contrast with Tim Kaine, who campaigns as a solid Catholic but is in dramatic opposition to the tenets of his faith on this issue, and has really actually flip-flopped on this issue along with same-sex marriage and trade policy. And so the question of how he has changed himself politically in order to be on the Clinton ticket was really in high relief last night.
All right, Joe, final thoughts.
No, I thought the debate was good. And listen, Charmaine and I can go back and forth on this a lot, but in the end, it's the vice presidential debate. I don't think it moves anybody. Most polls coming out right after the debate showed that both of them basically were within 6 points of each other on who won. It's not like the 30-point trounce that Hillary had over Donald. So here we go. That was the first show, the sort of the warm-up show for Sunday night, which we're all really excited about. The bleeding may have stopped on their side, which is good for them because Donald Trump now will be better prepared. He's ready to go into this debate, I believe, and he understands the difference when you look at Pence's performance, what preparation does. So I totally believe that he's going to have a much better performance. He's going to be strong. He's going to be prepared. And that's what we can look forward to on Sunday.
And we are looking forward to that. All right, Charmaine and Joe, thank you both as always for joining us.
Thank you,
Thanks for having
Patty
us.
Ann.
And for complete coverage of the 2016 election, go to foxnews.com. I'm Patty Ann Brown. Thanks for watching.